Go ahead.
Okay,
Think you're good.
great, thank you.
This is open session, right?
No, it's open.
You're great.
Thank you.
Just making sure.
Thank you. Good morning, is everyone back?
Good morning, Rodney. I think I see Miguel. Hey, Robin, is the hearing room ready?
I'm assuming so, Dave. Mike told me to unmute, so yeah, I think we're good to go.
Okay, are we good to go then? And yes,
You can see better. Yeah, we have another for you, Joseph.
There's Rodney right there, but he's under Jerry Hassan.
Joseph's here.
Does he need to change that?
I think I'm a little early for that.
Way early.
Yeah.
Better early than late.
You're gonna be asked not to say anything.
I will, I'm gonna be reading.
Do we have a name
So,
plate for Joseph?
Catherine. Can you hear me?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
That's,
I can hear you.
this is Rodney and Jerry's
It's right
spot.
behind you on that little table.
Oh,
What?
You're-
In Jerry's window here, is that Rodney Kobos?
Yes.
Yes. I'm here.
Is it okay if this is Jerry Hassan, even though it's Rodney?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay, great. Good morning. The time is now
Sorry about that.
9:57. I call to order the April 11th, 2025 meeting of the Contractor State License Board's Enforcement Committee. I am Rodney Kobos, Enforcement Committee Chairman. Please note that only board members who are members of the Enforcement Committee may participate in this committee meeting. Other board members who are in attendance may observe but cannot ask questions or participate in the discussion. Today's Enforcement Committee meeting will provide an update regarding CSLB's enforcement program. Committee members are encouraged to comment on and discuss the agenda items. However, a vote cannot be taken because the meeting is being conducted virtually rather than in person. Committee members will be using cameras during this meeting. The law requires committee members participating in this meeting to have their cameras on. Please have your camera on for the duration of the meeting. When you would like to comment during the meeting, please select the raise your hand icon in the WebEx application. Our moderator will call on committee members to speak. When called upon, please unmute yourself, and when finished, return to mute. Board member Henry Nutt III has an approved absence. Because this meeting is virtual, there are no voting items. This meeting will be discussion only. Robin, please take roll and confirm we have a quorum.
Rodney Kobos,
Here.
Miguel Galarza,
Here.
Amanda Gallo. She told me she was gonna be a few minutes late, so. Let me check back. Jacob Lopez. Henry now has an excused absence. Thomas Ruiz.
Here.
We have 3 out of 6.
I think Jacob is in Norwalk.
Yeah,
Norwalk?
remote.
He left. He was going to participate virtually. By what?
No.
3 out of 6 or 7?
Robin, how many do we have?
6.
How many are present?
3.
3.
We have 6 in the committee, 3 present.
That's not a quorum.
Not yet.
We do not have a quorum.
We're missing Amanda or Jacob.
Amanda said she was gonna be 5 to 10 minutes late. So we
And
currently
I've
have-
checked the attendees list and neither is listed on there right now.
So we have to wait.
We're gonna mute this hearing.
Get a hold of Amanda or Jacob.
Yeah, we should try to reach Amanda.
Could we take a motion to recess until a quorum is Do we have a quorum?
I think we're trying to contact two board committee members that said they were going to be available. We're finding out if there's a problem. If we find out it'll be longer than 5 minutes, certainly. we should.
Amanda took in at 7:55, said she'd be 5 to 10 minutes late. That was 2 hours ago.
She was on the morning.
She
Yeah,
was
she was
on.
on. See, that's what I was checking.
I don't know if it's appropriate to have me substitute. I guess you have to be on the committee, huh?
And I should probably call.
You ask the attorney, I'm happy to sit in, but it's probably not appropriate, but. Because we're not gonna vote on anything today.
No.
You too, thank you.
John, is John on? It has to be a committee member. We have Joel.
It's in the blue bar, it says public meetings.
We're trying to get committee member Lopez on. It's just his computer's having an issue, so it shouldn't be more than a minute.
Okay,
You drop down to the agenda.
That's why I like being here.
Yeah. Go to.
FYI, Amanda Gallo just joined, so I just promoted her to a panelist. So as long as she turns on her camera, we know that she's here, we should be able to proceed.
There she is.
Oh, she is.
Amanda's
She is.
joining now.
right.
Amanda Guy was present.
Did that, right?
Okay, are we?
You want to do the roll again, Rodney?
Sure.
All right.
Rodney, please call roll.
Rodney Cobos,
Here.
Miguel Galarza,
Here.
Amanda Gallo.
Here.
Jacob Lopez will join us soon. Henry Nutt has an excused absence. Thomas Ruiz,
Present.
you have a quorum.
Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance was taken during the executive committee, so I will not be asking for the Pledge of Allegiance during this meeting. CSLB staff participating in today's meeting include Enforcement Chief Steve Grove, Registered David Vogt, Interim Chief Deputy Registered Cindy Kanimoto, and Executive Office Staff Robin Williams, who will be taken home. In addition, we are fortunate to have DSA Board Counsel John Kim with us, should legal questions arise. Next
Excuse
is
me, Jacob Lopez has joined.
Continue.
Next is agenda item B, our public comment section. This item is provided for public comment pertaining to items not on the agenda. To allow this committee enough time to conduct its full schedule of business, I will be limiting public comment to 3 minutes apiece. Please note that state law prohibits committee members from discussing any matter brought up during public comment. We also are not allowed to act on any item not on the agenda. If you want the committee to discuss a topic not on the agenda, you can ask us to consider placing that issue on the agenda of a future meeting. If you have an application, complaint, or disciplinary charges pending before the board, we ask that you not discuss the details of your case or pending complaint. Committee members are permitted to receive evidence or information that is not part of the administrative record in the case. If your comments are related to a specific agenda item, then make your comments now. But you may want to wait until that item comes up for discussion. We will ask for public comment before acting on any item. Public Affairs Chief Catherine White is our host and moderator today. She will be assisting us by monitoring public comment. Members of the public, when you would like to comment at any time during the meeting, please select the raise your hand icon in the WebEx application or leave a message with the chat feature. Do any committee members have an item they would like to place on a future agenda item?
One thing I want to note is that Jacob Lopez just sent a message saying that he's not able to hear audio on his end. But we're hearing audio here, so I'm not sure how we can assist him further at this point.
Maybe a cell phone.
Are we okay to proceed? Or do we need to have?
Please proceed.
Thank you.
We'll try to get some audio for.
Okay. Okay, Catherine, are there any members of the public who wish to address the committee or to offer an agenda item for a future meeting?
Yes, there is. I will be sending Andrea Montano a request to unmute.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you, Enforcement Committee meeting, for having me here today. As echoed in some of the comments, and I hope that I have this separate from the additional agenda items, I'm trying to extract what's not on the agenda, to talk about some components for priority fraud mass prevention framework. I heard that there are some strengthening of partnerships with the district attorney's offices, which I'm really happy to hear about. Also wanted to plant some seeds about coordinated civil and criminal enforcement, as well as a rapid response legal assistance team. And in discussions with the district attorney partnership program, I know in the past there has been some rather an investigative handoff for prosecution or recommended prosecution or probable violation action. Instead, I would recommend a partnership to help with some of the fluidity of the conversations, could help with having some members of contractors license board, as well as district attorneys and attorney general offices. And they can act kind of as a swift team for mass fraud cases. And so information becomes relevant and patterns of activities are recognized faster. And this partnership would enable coordinated civil and criminal enforcement, allowing simultaneous administrative, civil and criminal proceedings against fraudulent contractors that are causing severe financial hardship for multiple victims. And in addition, I could recommend establishing a rapid response legal assistance team that can help with partnerships of legal aid and organizations to provide immediate support for victims navigating complex processes. For example, some of the big hitters like Patricia Cohen, Corey Lacey, Anchor Tiny Homes, Multitasker, and now some other companies that have come up where we can extend those bond requirements when we know that there are fraud happening where mass building is needing to occur. And these teams could offer standardized legal documentation preparation, group representation, education for similarly situated victims, and also coordinate prevention for bankruptcy counseling and extended support for creditors like us that are in defense mode during bankruptcy adversary proceedings. And so making all of these cases available in a single enterprise system would definitely help a lot of the prosecutors as well as the investigators speed up those actions. And so those adverse actions can be taken faster. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, for your comments. I will turn it over to David Vogt to review. Any other comments from the public, Catherine?
Hi, you there?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Okay, good. My name is Roy Porter, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on enforcement. In full disclosure, I filed a complaint. I can give you the number. It's 24006315, and I won't go into the details. Other than it was filed in October. And the people that I've had interactions with, including Miss Love and our special investigator Mabel and the person Sandy Speed, they've all been very nice, very professional. My issue
Mr. Carter, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is John Ken. I'm counsel for the board, and the committee cannot consider and should not be hearing any facts or regarding your complaint, no matter how general. So
can I just speak in general then?
Until I say you can't, fire away.
Okay. So what my comment is that I'd like to see that the CSLB speed up the time that it takes to do an investigation. I know I read your entire annual report, the 54 pages. There's some impressive data in there. I know you got 20,000 complaints last year. I was among those. And it's taking too long to get investigations going. It's so long that I've seen attorneys now say, if this was serious, the CSLB would act on it. The bonding companies are now saying CSLB isn't acting, so it can't be a big issue. And in my case, it's a lot of money, a lot of emotional strain. I'm a senior citizen. I'm now in court for more in legal fees than the mechanics lien that was filed on my property. So anyway, on a positive side, if you need somebody to talk to assemblymen or some other people to help get you some more resources or funding, I'm your poster child. I'm happy to talk to them. And, if we can do something to speed these up, I think it's going to improve your positioning with the public that you are a serious enforcement agency. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Roy, for your comments. Again, we will turn those over to David Vogt to handle your comments. Any other comments from the public?
Seeing none at this time.
Thank you. We are now moving on to
someone just raised their hand.
Okay.
I'm going to be calling on Aida Yorzar, and I'll be sending her a request to unmute.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, Ida.
Awesome. My name is Aida, and I'm a member of the ACE, Alliance of California Community Empowerment. And I was a homeowner affected by home improvement scams. And my story is very similar to many members of ACE. Particular, my family story is we were scammed by a contractor named Viridi Construction, Inc. And that was in 2021, along with other families as well. So we want to know what is the the Contractor Licensing Bureau is doing to prevent scammers or scams that contractors are working with lenders and giving them home improvement loans to the vendors. and it's making it easier for these contractors to scam the families. In our case, we were scammed for $82,000, and along with other family members. So I mean, it's a large amount of money if you put it all together that the contractor has taken from homeowners. We're talking about $6 million. But one of the things that we are noticing from the California State Licensing Board is that it's taking a long time for the investigation to process or to at least get evidence or to contact all the victims. Another thing that I'm noticing with a lot of the homeowners that we experienced this scam from this contractor is that a lot of the victims were Hispanic, Latinos, and the investigators from the California State Licensing Board, they don't have the people that are acculturated or are bilingual or can provide services for the community, the Hispanic community. So what are you guys doing to resolve these issues for contractors that are mainly, targeting the Hispanic community, the most vulnerable community, because either they don't speak Spanish, they don't speak the language. And so what is it that the California State Licensing are doing to facilitate services for this community and prevent scams, especially to expedite the process as well? It's just that we see that it's just taking too long. Our case, for instance, it was filed in 2021. And
Miss Eureka, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, this is John Kin again. The committee really can't hear specifics of your case or your complaint, but we certainly appreciate the concerns you've raised. And if you want to put your contact information in the chat, then maybe someone from enforcement or the admin can get a hold of you to discuss these matters.
Okay, we'll do that. We're currently working with Mr. Matthew Boyd, and hopefully my information can be provided to him. And I know that there's a currently investigation, but I know that the issue that we all have in these homeowners is like there's not a lot of communication given to us, and the investigation process is just taking too long.
You're at time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ida, for your comments. And like John had mentioned, we will turn your comments over to either David Volk or someone at the department. Thank you. Okay, any other public comment?
Yes, we have public comment from Beto. I'll be sending him a request to unmute.
Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. We could hear you.
My comment kind of falls in line with most of the victims from scams from contractors, in general contractors. I myself was a licensed contractor. I unfortunately have been put out of business due to unfortunately a couple of separate scenarios. Some of them already noted by Andrea, in which I was a victim from under different circumstances by multiple contractors that have put me in the red in excess of $500,000 in the last 4 years. And the common scenario that I see is the lack of, I would say, oversight when it comes to qualifying individuals to be licensed. One of those scenarios is the RMO process, in which I don't believe there is enough oversight into the RMO process, where contractors, or in some cases, regular individuals that are not licensed in the business, that have no adequate experience or knowledge when it comes to contracting in the construction business in itself, in which they are enticing an individual that has a license to open a license for them, run the business on their behalf, and in the process end up scamming hundreds of people in some cases, in thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. These individuals, in most cases, have no relative knowledge when it comes to construction, and are practicing the business and learning as they go, and which in most cases end up failing the business and taking thousands of dollars from individuals. The other portion is the bonding requirements. I guess this would be more of a suggestion for a potential deterrent, I would say, that would force these individuals that are using RMOs where the RMO is not licensed, or I'm pretty sure on your side you can see when an individual is the RMO RME for 2, 3, 4.
You have 30 seconds.
Instances. And the bonding requirements, if increased for these instances, along with increased relative to the exposure of the business financially, similar to like workers' comp is monitored, that would prevent a lot of these
Your time is
individuals
up.
from actually.
Just keep sure that Catherine knows.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. And I to refer to legal. I didn't catch his name, but Catherine, do we have you on the screen?
We have a first name, but yes, Beta, if you could please provide your contact information in the chat, we'll pass that information along.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments, Catherine?
No other public comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. We are now moving on to agenda item C, which is a review of a consumer filed complaint handling strategies. I will now turn it over to Enforcement Chief Steve Grove for this agenda item. Steve.
Thank you, Chair Kobos. The Enforcement Division protects California consumers by enforcing contractor state license law requirements. The division receives and processes consumer complaints, investigates contractors, and provides avenues for consumers harmed by licensed contractors to pursue financial redress. The great majority of California's approximately 285,000 licensed contractors and more than 30,000 registered home improvement salespersons comply with the state's contracting requirements. However, not all contractors obey the law, and not all consumers are satisfied with their contracting experience. Since July 1st, 2024, CSLB has received 9,300, can you go to the next slide, please? 9,317 complaints against licensed and unlicensed contractors. These complaints are assigned to a staff services analyst, SSA, in one of our 2 intake and mediation centers, or IMCs, located in Sacramento and Norwalk.
Slides are.
We're stuck on that.
We're stuck on the slide. There we go. Complaints involving non-egregious misconduct by licensed contractors can often be resolved through CSLB staff complaint negotiation mediation. Obviously, we don't settle non-licensee complaints. They're all referred to an investigation center for legal action. Most consumer complaints filed with CSLB allege incomplete and defective work. In these cases, CSLB attempts to resolve the dispute and make the consumer financially whole when appropriate. So far this fiscal year, staff in our intake and mediation centers have settled a very impressive 31% of the licensee complaints and helped consumers recover $11,743,932 in restitution. Licensee complaints that are not settled in the intake mediation centers are transferred to one of 10 investigation centers located across the state. One of the goals of the intake mediation centers is to settle or transfer all complaints within 60 days. Currently, there are only 5 complaints over 60 days old in the IMC, which is very impressive. Next slide, please. Since July 1st, 2024, 4,245 complaints have been assigned to a CSLB special investigator. The current average caseload is a manageable 37. While the objective of the investigation centers is to investigate complaints for violation of law and not to settle licensee investigations, settlements can happen. For example, when a CSLB hired industry expert inspects the project and the licensee agrees to pay the consumer the estimated cost to correct and/or complete the project, and the complaint does not include an egregious or repeated violation of law. Approximately 10% of complaints have been settled in the investigation centers so far this fiscal year. Of the remaining complaints not settled, many result in administrative legal action against the licensee, which includes letters of admonishment, citations, and accusations seeking revocation of the license. Total of 1,493 complaints have been referred to administrative legal action this fiscal year. The most egregious contractor misconduct, such as elder abuse, predatory business practices, diversion of construction funds, unsafe working conditions, and unlicensed practice, may warrant criminal prosecution. Another 398 complaints have been referred to local district attorneys for criminal prosecution. Next slide, please. As you recall, in late 2023, the Enforcement Division created the Multiple Offender Unit, or MOU, to address contractors who routinely receive excessive consumer complaints, straining staff resources, resulting in high caseloads and aged cases. Contractors with 10 or more open complaints are referred directly to the MOU, bypassing the intake mediation centers, and all complaints against a specific contractor are assigned to a single investigator. MOU investigators take swift, aggressive action to persuade the contractor to resolve pending complaints and implement business practices that address their customer complaints before the customer finds need to file a complaint with CSLB. The MOU has made significant progress in its goal to address repeated patterns of misconduct among licensees. Since its inception, MOU has handled a total of 1,359 complaints, with 772 complaints closed and 587 currently pending. This sustained effort has led to 22 licensees being formally disciplined through the filing of accusations. These accusations collectively include 84 consumer complaints. Next slide, please. Of the 22 licensees referred to accusation, 23% have had their licenses revoked, underscoring the seriousness of the violations pursued by the unit. Currently, there are 17 accusations pending against contractors referred to the MOU. In addition to administrative enforcement, 2 licensees have had criminal cases referred for prosecution, demonstrating MOU's commitment to pursuing the most severe cases through all available channels. Remarkably, the majority of this work has been carried out by a team consisting of 2 retired annuitants, former investigators at CSLB, and 1 full-time employee, highlighting both the efficiency and dedication of the unit. While the bulk of the investigative workload is centered on solar contractors, MOU has recently expanded its focus to include assignments related to accessory dwelling units, ADU contractors, reflecting a broader commitment to consumer protection across emerging areas of construction and development. As MOU continues to grow in scope and impact, its targeted approach remains vital in identifying and addressing repeat and high-risk offenders, thereby safeguarding consumers and upholding the integrity of the industry. I'm excited to report today that we have recently acquired 3 additional analyst positions for the multiple offender unit. We will begin conducting hiring interviews next week. With additional staff coming into the MOU, we will soon be able to begin referring contractors with 5 or more open complaints, as opposed to what we're doing now with 10 or more open complaints. This includes agenda item C. I will now turn it back over to you, Chair Kobos.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, do we have any committee members, do you have any comments or suggestions? Okay. Any public?
Yes, we have both Aida Nurzar and Andrea Montano both raising their hands. I will be sending Aida a request to unmute.
Good morning again. Thank you for the presentation. Very informative, but questions or maybe just concerns. Why is it only 5 licenses has been revoked and how long? And only 2 criminal cases have been enforced. What is the procedure? What is the time length that we're talking about for these vendors, for these contractors? That's just my concerns. I don't know the steps or to follow, and it will be very informative for us to know how long this process takes, because for us, for the people, for the homeowners, sometimes we want instant results, and sometimes we have to wait 5 to 7 years to hear this. And also another thing is that I know for the revoked licenses, for the contractor that I'm speaking, it was a 3-year that their license was revoked. Is there a reason for that? And can they apply after 3 years of the license being revoked to be reinstated again or not? Or can it be also permanent? Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. And I understand that we have your contact information in the chat. And so either myself or somebody from enforcement will contact you and be happy to answer those questions.
Thank you again for your comments. All right.
And I'll be sending Andrea Montano a request to unmute.
Thank you again, Catherine, and thank you for allowing me to speak again. I kind of want to echo what I heard from Aida and Beto as far as I know that when we look at stats for first in, first out, how many open, pending, and closed, we also kind of want to consider what are the critical success factors and the key performance indicators we're using to measure our successes. For instance, how effective was the timeline in comparison to the catastrophic damages occurred? And, you know, and we're talking about liens, talking about legal fees that are stacking up, foreclosures, forbearances, business closures, and even displacement, and all the severe emotional hardship that comes with all of those things. It's not just that the money is gone, it's all of the things that people are continuing to fight after the money's been taken, and they have no recourse to continue, you know, everything is just kind of fallen flat. And so with that, the priority framework of components that I would like to suggest is, you know, in these IT systems and in these protocols for consumer file complaints and also these enterprise document systems, to also have a consideration for prioritization for financial hardship triage, as well as enhancing the BMP Code Section 71088 enforcement and cross-jurisdictional enforcement task force, which I had brought up before. And this framework could transform complaint handling by quickly identifying victims facing severe financial consequences, enabling targeted emergency relief. The system could be implemented through administrative action and create a standardized hardship assessment tool and priority classification system to help combat some of these systemic issues that are continuing to happen. We can recommend enhancing enforcement of this section code regarding diversion of funds by creating a rebuttal presumption that non-payment constitutes illegal diversion when a homeowner has paid. And this would streamline enforcement against some of the most harmful cases while also protecting the innocent contractors. For complaints indicating potential mass fraud, we could propose forming a cross-jurisdictional enforcement task force with joint investigative teams from multiple jurisdictions. In a lot of these cases, we aren't working with just a single DA. In the recent span of these cases, victims in different jurisdictions can receive dramatically different responses within the same immediate assistance, while others wait months for action. And a coordinated task force would ensure consistent, rapid response, regardless of the jurisdiction where the crimes are happening. That's all I have on that item. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, for your comments. And I don't know if you placed your contact information in the chat box. And if you haven't, please do, and you follow up on your comments. Catherine, any other public comment?
Seeing none at this time.
Thank you. Now on to agenda item D, which is the review and discussion regarding alternate dispute resolution. Arbitration is when disputing parties submit their differences to a third-party professional who makes a final award for financial damages, if any. Many disputes between consumers and contractors can be resolved efficiently and in a timely manner through arbitration. The Contractor State License Board offers arbitration to resolve disputes that meet certain criteria. CSLB will pay for the hearing. The arbitrator and the one state-appointed expert witness, if appropriate. Only contractors in good standing with the CSLB qualify to participate in arbitration. CSLB will investigate complaints involving deceptive or fraudulent practices. Today, we are excited to have with us Karen Smith, President of MCC Arbitration, Mediation, and Conciliation Center, the arbitration provider for the CSLB. Karen.
Hi, can you hear me?
Ken.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for letting me be here today. I've been online since the beginning of the meeting today, and very interesting. I learned a lot. I especially enjoyed the training video. I think it was about 10 minutes, and I'm going to copy and paste that for our staff. So thank you. First thing I'm going to do you mind going to the next slide? Okay, there it is. I'm going to give you some facts, and then I'm going to give you just some personal perspective on the program. As you may already know, there's two types of arbitration. There's mandatory and voluntary. Mandatory is tied to the bond limit, which is currently $25,000, and that's where you send a case to us, we appoint the arbitrator, and then we render a decision. Voluntary is $25,000 to $50,000 disputes, or awards, I should say. I won't get too technical, but that's where the two parties agree to go to arbitration, and they can receive an award up to $50,000. I compiled some stats for you from this past year, 2024. We had 410 cases. The program has certainly ebbed and flowed over the years, and 410 cases is about average. I should actually, let me correct myself. We've had 410 awards. There have been other cases. The total amount awarded is close to $5 million, you can see on the screen. And one of the most important things I want to convey today is that is not restitution, that is not enforcement. When the parties come to us, the complainant and the respondent, which can be a homeowner and a contractor, or a general and a sub, they both come through our doors equally. I think Dave knows we've fought hard to maintain our unbiased status, and I think we have successfully done so. So when we look at this amount, some of that may have been awarded to a contractor. Let's say if there was an outstanding contract balance, or there weren't workmanship issues, or perhaps a homeowner overreached. So I would just like you to keep that in mind when you look at that number. One of the stats we were most proud of is that there is currently a 41-day turnaround this is average, from when we get the case in our doors, or over the internet, I should say, and when we turn around an award. I've heard a few times today that speed is a concern, so I don't know how long it gets to us, but once it gets to us, we prioritize it and we try to set a hearing date as quickly as possible. And as I go down to this list, I'll tell you why we've been able to improve our stats to 41 days to award. This is our 24th year of service to the CSLB. I'm particularly proud of that fact. We've established some really long-standing, valuable relationships, which I'm going to comment on. We have 4 new arbitrators. So the arbitrators really are the heart of this program. It's one of our challenges is to get appropriate arbitrators that meet all the qualifications of the CSLB, as well as have both the trade experience, but also the procedural expertise they need for this program. We have about, I'm going to guess off the top of my head, about a third of our arbitrators are attorneys, which is great because they certainly know the law. But also, what is more important in my experience is that we have people that understand the trades and they know, let's say, the difference between concrete and cement. And then also to take in all the information from the different trades, know both sides of it, and then also be able to produce a award that is in layman's terms is truly an art form. And one of the things that we're constantly doing is refining our arbitrator panel. And when we can find the people that can master this and have all the requirements and all the licensing and everything else, it works out very well for us. So we're constantly refining this panel of our 4 new arbitrators to our attorneys and to our non-attorneys. We send out, after every hearing, we will send out a evaluation form. And we take in the evaluation forms before the award is rendered. So if they send it after the award, that's not included in this calculation because we realize that there's usually someone who prevails and somebody who doesn't prevail in these instances. And that will be reflected, but we like to find out how we're doing on the process and what they think of our arbitrators. And so on average, we've been able to maintain a 4.8 out of 5 evaluation on that, which we're also proud of and work hard for. And then what I said I was going to comment on later is our speed, which is the 41-day average turnaround. And I really, really credit that to our hearing options. Ever since COVID, everyone got really used to Zoom and using their phone. I'm on my phone right now doing this video and being able to submit documents electronically. And that has helped us to be able to hear these cases faster. We can accept almost any format of documents, even snail mail. We do get the occasional request for in-person hearings. Most people we find don't want to be in person anymore. Even when offered that opportunity, they don't always take it. So teleconference and video conference, we have Zoom. Our arbitrators are on they use their video Zoom often, but the parties typically don't. We can do a hybrid. And that really allows us to process these cases as quickly as possible because people don't have to drive anywhere. Nobody wants to drive anywhere anymore, we're finding, and everyone is very sophisticated with electronics. So those are the stats for you. Can you go one more slide if you don't mind, please? And then this is just more of my commentary on how the program's going. I've already mentioned it's quick. We have also advanced our systems to be able to do e-delivery of the hearing notices, of the awards, receive all of our documents electronically, and that has really sped up the process. I can't even imagine how we did it when everything was snail mail. So that has helped us also be more efficient and cost effective. And I think we're very cost effective for the CSLB as well, which I've been told, because we're a flat fee, no matter if it's voluntary or mandatory arbitration. When it comes through our doors, we will see it through to the end, regardless of if it takes 1 hearing day, 2 hearing days, if it takes 30 days, or if it takes 90 days. It's no difference to you. And it also doesn't cost the parties anything. It doesn't cost the homeowner, and it doesn't cost the contractor anything. So you can imagine if they're going to court, if they have to go in person, all the different scenarios they have, if they have to hire attorneys, which they can do in this instance. It's at no cost to them. So hopefully that is a benefit for the parties as well. It's binding. So when an arbitration is rendered, there's no appeal, and there's very limited reason to have it corrected. That's just the only recourse through us. So when you get that award, I think less than 1%, less than half of 1%, will it ever get corrected, or certainly not vacated? So you can rely on that award being the final resolution of the dispute. It's private. If either party complies with the terms of the award, there's no disclosure. Again, I've already mentioned our professional arbitrators, and that's something we always strive to improve upon as well. I can't say enough about the staff that works for us. They've all been with us for more than 10 years. I think they have a relationship with your special investigators as well. And another benefit of that is they're very well versed in these processes, the Business and Professions Code 7085. We have a software program that allows us to make notes on every single phone call that goes in or goes out. And I think some of you have benefited from that because we can convey information that's come to us straight to you. And then it's also allowed us to have relationships with the CSLB people. I mean, when we have any kind of issue, we get a response from the CSLB the same day. Dave and Jesse and Steve Grove and Brian Melvin, and of course Jerry and the AGs, everyone is so responsive and helpful to us that I just value these relationships so much. And I think the longevity of being able to work with the CSLB and our staff members all together as a team allows us to create a program that's really beneficial to both the homeowners and the contractors. And we do have some challenges with this program. We have the parties are getting a little unhinged these days. I'll just say it that way. Some more than others. So that's always where we can rely on both the CSLB and the statutes to govern this process for us. And one of our other challenges or our goals is to increase our voluntary limits. Right now they're at $50,000. They've been at $50,000 for over 20 plus years. And I don't need to talk about inflation. I think we're all very familiar with that. And what happens there is if the homeowners want to use the arbitration program or the contractors want to use the arbitration program, but the contracts are just more than that. I mean, even the cases I've heard about today, they're all more than that. And so to limit their award to $50,000 might not make either party whole. So one of my goals would be to be able to increase the limits of the voluntary arbitration. And just a reminder, both parties have to agree to this voluntary arbitration. So they both have to buy into the process. It's free for them. If they go to court, it's going to cost them a very big fraction of that. My goal is to get up to $100,000, a very big fraction of that $100,000. So that would be one of my goals. And then one of my other goals for the program, I know CSLB has a lot of new staff. Jerry was kind enough to host me in Norwalk recently, and I would just like to increase that training if possible so that we're all on the same page. So that's it. That was my big fast presentation. If anyone has any questions or if we want to talk about the program, I'd love to.
Okay. Thank you, Karen, for the presentation. Great information for both the consumers and the contractor. So appreciate the presentation. Thank you. Okay. Committee members, do we have any comments or suggestions? Seeing none. Is there any public comment?
Yes, Andrea Motano has her hand raised, so I'll be sending her a request to unmute.
Good morning, Andrea.
Hi. You guys are hearing a lot from me today. We haven't even got to the legislative meeting yet. So I actually really just want to applaud Karen's presentation. I think that this is a wonderful program that a lot of folks don't really know exist until they kind of get into a pickle and they, read their contracts and they realize that, before they can take an additional step, that they need to kind of go through some type of an alternative resolution dispute. And so I would just encourage that, maybe we can get some marketing or online, social media, just some education that can be shared with the public, along with the, minimum down payments for a lot of the work. This would just be a wonderful thing to share at Scam Stopper seminars and things of that nature, just to let people know that these programs exist, and that they do have a first option to try to resolve at the lowest level before taking additional action. And so I just want to applaud this. I think this is a great thing, and I would love to see more education and outreach around this item. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, for your comments. Catherine, any other comments?
No other comments from the public at this time.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the review and discussion of unlicensed contracting enforcement. At this time, I will turn it over to Enforcement Chief Steve Grove to cover this item. Steve.
Thank you, Chair Kobos. Next slide, please. One of the current strategic objectives for enforcement is to address false advertising online and on social media to increase proactive enforcement and consumer awareness. To accomplish this, it will first be necessary to identify just how much illegal advertising is taking place, the methods used, and the geographical areas where it is most prevalent. This will require hiring a consultant to conduct a statewide study, which is already in progress in alignment with enforcement's strategic objective 2.2 that will be discussed next. After the study is completed, enforcement staff will collaborate with the consultant and CSLB administrative and public affairs staff to develop outreach, education, and enforcement strategies. Next slide, please. Staff have worked closely with the Sacramento State University's Population Research Center, or PRC, and Department of Consumer Affairs to develop a contract that should be executed on or before May 15th. Specific contract deliverables include PRC will develop an electronic survey in English and Spanish for review and testing by CSLB. Responses from the consumer survey will provide data to support determination of the resources needed to increase information and education provided to the public on the benefits of hiring a licensed contractor. Next slide, please. PRC will analyze existing data from CSLB internal and external sources to assess the approximate number of unlicensed contractors operating in California. The analysis will include an assessment of unlicensed contracting in declared disaster areas. CSLB will provide PRC with data via email from internal sources such as CSLB enforcement data and SWIFT. CSLB will provide a contact person for each data source to answer PRC questions about the data. CSLB will facilitate access to external data sources such as business licenses and county business permits. PRC will prepare an electronic report with the data collected that analyzes unlicensed contracting activity in California, including an assessment of unlicensed contracting in declared disaster areas. The report shall provide recommendations on the resources needed to effectively respond to consumer protection issues in relation to unlicensed activity. This report will be distributed electronically. The final report of the study is anticipated to be completed by November 30th of 2025. This includes agenda item E, and I will now turn it back over to you, Chair Kobos.
Thank you, Steve. Committee members, do you have any comments or suggestions? Seeing none. Catherine, is there any public comment?
Yes, there is. Andrea Matano has raised her hand, so I'll be sending her a request to unmute.
Thank you.
I hope you guys know that I've had a lot of coffee this morning. All right, so for this particular item, just some additional things I wanted to bring up, and this is something I know that we're going to have a follow-up meeting about. And also talking, Lobby Day is coming up. When we're looking at additional enhanced enforcement for B&P codes 7108 and 7120. Also emergency asset prevention orders and business continuity emergency programs. And my comment here is, while unlicensed contracting enforcement is critical, we also want to enhance that licensed contractors are committing mass fraud and often occurring more extensive harm due to their ability to take on larger projects and perceived legitimacy. And we want to recommend balancing resources between unlicensed contracting and fraudulent licensed contractor enforcement, while emphasizing on case causing severity financial hardship, and specifically recommending implementing an emergency asset preservation orders that could apply to both licensed and unlicensed contractors where evidence suggests fraud is affecting multiple victims. And these orders could help with dissipation of assets needed for victim recovery and could also implement using existing court mechanisms. And so for victims of both licensed and unlicensed contractors, we think the business continuity emergency program could prevent business failures in a contractor ecosystem through emergency bridge funds, potentially loans, or affected subcontractors, and a payment prioritization system for critical vendors. And these approaches could help with cascading economic damage that are following some of these major fraud cases. And so just kind of, looking at some features and some capabilities within some of these models that could be looked at for future enhancement programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, Andrea. Okay, any other public comment?
Yes, we have a comment from Davi Rodriguez. I'll be sending him a request to unmute.
About this outreach and providing guidance on that, I have been asking for quite some time for the board to do an outreach to artists. The artist demographic or community, whatever you want to call it, largely believe they are immune to prosecution for violating the state contractor's license law. I have worked very diligently and thoroughly in this area because the cities I brought before the board earlier in the past couple of years about the municipalities hiring unlicensed contractors to install art all over. And these contracts are rather large. Some of them even got over $1 million. And the contract that they're signing with them are not licensed. It has reached an epidemic to me because these government bureaucrats and even elected representatives are willfully evading the law at this point. I can prove that. I mean, it's pretty much a conspiracy among them. Because that's kind of a separate thing. The community, I know the board addressed an outrage to the issuing agencies along the state, but the artist community themselves, they need to be brought into this because they do not believe law applies to them. And once the cities and counties hire them illegally to do a job, it emboldens them. You can go on to their websites and see all the jobs that they've posted that are well over $1,000, and where they're soliciting for more work. And there's nothing on their advertisements that say they're unlicensed. They just, like I say, they believe they're immune to this thing, that they're exempted. So I asked for that the board